So let's shift a little bit. Both of you have left the primary sort of career that you started in. You're moving along in your phases of life as well professionally as personally. And you've decided to set up a family office. Now, I can tell you, everyone around the world is talking about family offices right now. Bram, tell us a little bit. Why a family office? How did you choose to do it? You could have outsourced all of that and decided to do it inside.
Right.
Tell us about it.
So as a management consultant for many years and with a very active professional life, we had outsourced our wealth management activities for the first 35 years of our careers. And but after I retired from Booz Allen the second time, I went to work for McNally Capital, and I was a senior advisor at McNally Capital, and I learned what family offices did. And I learned about the support that they provided, not only in terms of investments, but also in terms of helping families to be stronger units. And having been a consultant, I had for many, many years invested in younger people. My son was coming up to a time in his career when he was ready to give up a life as a consultant. So my son and I started off investing in venture, which we've been doing for 5 years. And and my daughter and I started to invest in property, and she runs the property management part of our portfolio. And I have the honor in this chapter of my career of working with my 2 kids.
In terms of transitioning to sort of your next generation, I see that you're co-managing partners. How does that work? And then how will this work over time with the next generation in the family?
So the whole reason to start the family office was in many ways to train the next generation. So it was, just as in my consulting career, it was about developing the next generation of partners, the next generation of principals. Starting a family office was about developing my daughter and developing my son in their own careers so that they could be successful business people. And we started off 5 years ago in the venture side. We organized it just like a venture capital fund. We spent a lot of time talking about how do we create the right incentives so that our first obligation is to the family to raise the average return of our portfolio. Second is to provide, obviously, incentive compensation or total compensation to the family members who are participating so that they feel rewarded and successful if their efforts are successful. And so we spent a lot of time talking about what our compensation schemes were going to be so that we could fairly, reward the efforts of each member of the family who participated. But I was in it from the get-go to develop the next generation.
Because it's not just him, and if the team wants to do it, I want to do it. I want him to be successful. I don't want to micromanage. We want to have time for travel and life, but it's hard to delegate. I mean, we've done a good job and tried to lay back, but it's hard 2A personalities. But we're basically have turned it over to the next generation, which is exciting.
Because a lot of times when families set up family offices, they sort of forget whether they're a father, a mother, or an employee or not. One of the things we talked about was the whole concept of being an employer. I mean, was that something you had planned to do? And here you are, you got a company and employing, your son, others.
Well, so I clearly expected that I was going to employ my son and daughter, but one day my son walks in and he says, Dad, we have been very successful in building a lead stream. We have more books coming across our desk for us to review on a day-to-day basis than, frankly, I can handle. We need to hire some staff. And of course, the decision is to write a check out of your own pocket to somebody new to join the family office. And so all of a sudden the bar is very high. And what you do is you screen and you look for somebody who's not just going to be an employee, not somebody who's going to think of it as a job, but somebody who's going to really think of it as a learning experience and think of it as an opportunity to really get started in the business.
What's the right thing for the family? What's the right thing for the business? And so that is the one aspect I'd say that it's even complicated for a math major from MIT, so to keep track of.
I feel better already.
How do you separate family, while managing a family office, family from the professional life? Like, how do you maintain the balance? And second is, how are you getting the deal flow for investments? And maybe also your thoughts on evaluating, how are you looking into deciding whether to invest or not to invest?
It's difficult, but we try to be disciplined about it. So when the family's together, like on a Sunday or a trip, it's family. Let's not talk business. But it's hard not to. Like my son might say, well, what do you think about that deal? But I try to say, oh yeah, we'll talk about that on Sunday, or we'll talk about that next week. For that type of discipline, because it's important to have the relationship and having fun, and different people are in the room, so you don't really want, there's confidentiality, so you don't want to go there. But it's important to draw a line there.
The second part of it, which is how do we decide what to invest in? What I would tell you is, being good consultants, we have a pretty elaborate framework that we've put together. I'd be happy to share it with you. It forces us to look at not only the strategic aspects of it, but also the execution aspects of it, as well as the deal structure aspects of it, and the co-investment partners, because those are the four levers that are really critical to get right if you're going to have a successful venture deal. And we have very high standards with regard to our return expectations, and so every deal we make, we expect it to be very attractive. And if it isn't, then it's because we got something wrong, usually in 1, 2, 3, or 4.
I'm a big believer that it's also about leadership, and that the companies that you're investing in, I mean, that's what I learned from the corporate world, is I say to my son, have you met with the leader? Does he have passion? Does he have knowledge? Is he transparent? Is he authentic? Because you're going to invest in companies, and you want good leaders, and you don't want just cheerleaders. I mean, they have to have content. But it's hard to differentiate, and so every time we have somebody who didn't do the right thing, we'll do a kind of a postmortem, like what went wrong, what could we have done differently.
What didn't work? So that all sounds like really nice.
People ask me a lot about balance, and so I'll tell you what I never had time for was, we never had a big social life, dinner parties, a lot of friends. I mean, my sister's here, she's a best friend. I mean, I just didn't have a lot of time for a lot of friends. And also, I didn't get a lot of sleep. I actually said to myself, 6 hours. So if I go to bed at 1, I get up at 7. So I would say I had to give up some things to make this all work. And I know that Bram, you try to get exercise, you try to eat healthy, but it's hard to keep it all together. So you have to give up a few things.
First, how you help your next generation sort of develop or have the same level of passion or energy that you have towards business and life. And a following up question is whether is there family business philosophy that you want your second generation to keep, no matter the specific industry that they may invest or focus on in the future?
For me, seeing my children make good decisions is really very rewarding, and they don't have to check with us. I mean, they make decisions about their business, and so it's very rewarding. They're in their 30s for us to see the success. So that is the ultimate test about the success of the family office. But I love it when they want to hang out with us. And the rigor, we have to have a meeting, and you can't be on the phone. You have to be in person. And so we really like that. So the rigor of being together, making decisions is really important.
Having our children share the same passion that we have for business is not how we are going to measure success. We're going to measure success based on their maturity and their commitment to family and the decisions with which they decide to manage their own lives. And that's kind of the philosophy that we've, built our own family about. And that is, Ilene can have the career she wants to have. Emily can have the career that she wants to have. It's just, we are, as a family, committed to each other.
What next? So what are you looking forward to do?
Well, I'm in the middle of this. So I analyze it and I said to Bram, I want to be busy half of my time. So how many boards should I be on? Giving speeches, giving back, nonprofit. And so you have to put together a portfolio of how you're going to spend your time. And I want half my time for me to read, to travel, to interact with people, to be there for my kids, my grandkids.
Now, I develop my goals for the future recognizing that those are going to become KPIs, and I'm going to have to get evaluated on them on an annual basis. So as I've gotten older, I hope you all laughed when I said that. As I've gotten older, I've gotten a little more lax in terms of setting out specific goals. So but I call myself being rewired. I'm not retired, I'm rewired.